coming up on Chopper's political podcast. There's more chance of me joining Zach Polanski's Green Party
You're kidding me.
than the Conservative Party pulling out of the ECHR.
the Wilson. Welcome back to Chopper's Political Podcast, where I bring you the best guest gossip, news and stories from our studios at GB News in the heart of Westminster. My name is Christopher Hope and I'm GB News' political editor. I've decided to play a game in this podcast because I think life is just too boring. We're expecting Reform UK next week to set out who is their shadow cabinet, their shadow government in waiting, if you like. I'm going to get my wonderful GB News colleagues, Tom Harwood, our deputy political editor, and Katherine Forster, our chief political correspondent, to work out who might get those top jobs and perhaps give them a prize if they're right. But before I do that, I'm going to bring back an old friend of the podcast, Suella Braverman. When I last spoke to her on the podcast, she was a Conservative. Now she's a Reform UK MP. And I think, therefore, she's got some questions to answer, because when she last appeared, she wasn't entirely frank about her plans for her political future. With me now is Suella Braverman, the former Conservative Home Secretary, the most recent recruit to, I think you're the most recent recruit, aren't you?
Yes.
To Reform UK. Welcome to the podcast. Great to have you here. But before we start, I want to play you a clip. What's next for you? There's talk about Reform. Would you ever join Reform?
I'm not going to defect to Reform, no. And I hope I'm not driven out to Reform by my colleagues.
One last question. Great to see you. And it's an easy one, really. Are you going to join Reform UK? You're laughing.
Everyone keeps asking me this question. Why is this? Listen, I've been a Conservative Party member.
I know.
I'm 45 now,
Yes.
and I have been. I think I was 15 when I joined. What does that make it? 30 years that I've been a member. My mum's a member. My dad's a member. My family's a member. You listen. No. Listen, I've been just elected as a Conservative Party MP by the great people of Fair and Waterloo. It's a great honour. It's a great honour to be in Parliament. I'll be voting against Keir Starmer's Brexit betrayal today with my Conservative colleagues in the lobby, with wearing the blue rosette.
Now, Suella Braverman. There we have it. There's 2 interviews with you over the past couple of years for Chopper's political podcast. Now, this isn't a church. You know, you don't have to tell the truth all the time. But to me, what do you think about leaving all those times you said you weren't going to leave?
Well, technically, I was right.
You're right.
I wasn't defecting at those times. I only defected on the 21st of January. I wasn't defecting up until the 20th of January.
And you said unless forced out in the answer to the first one. I think that probably got to the nub of what happened here with you defecting to Reform.
Actually, listen, there was a lot of speculation for over a year about this issue. And if I'm honest, I was grappling with it internally. That can't be a public issue for comment, but it is. I have been very torn about the matter, particularly about relationships. Actually, local people with whom I've worked for over a decade. But actually, the final straw came in those last few days before my defection, and the die was cast. It became very clear what the Chief Whip thought of people like Robert Jenrick and myself, that she wanted us out of the party.
Andrew Rosendale also.
Andrew Rosendale.
Had difficulties
It became very clear that I was on the receiving end of unprovoked hostile briefing from the leader's office. And then, of course, what they really thought was laid bare for the world to see when I did finally defect. And they responded with a very vicious, I should say false, smear, saying I was suffering with mental health problems, which is not true. And in many ways, that response said it all. That's what I've been really dealing with in the Conservative Party for 2 years.
Very personal attacks on you there.
Vicious, personal, unwarranted, and false. And in fact, that was more powerful than any speech I could give about how toxic the party's become and actually how nasty it's become. And so at a certain point, you've got to draw a line and say, it's not about me, really. It's actually not healthy for the country.
No, and you didn't leave, though, for personal attacks. It's for political reasons, wasn't it? It was choices being made. You saw clarity with Reform UK.
Exactly. I came over a period of time, and this was gradual, to a point where I no longer believed in the Conservative Party. I no longer trusted what the Conservative Party was saying. And I didn't feel proud of the Conservative Party. All of that's pretty important if you're going to be a politician. And the only party that I trust is Reform. They have credibility. Nigel Farage has stood the test of time. Despite the backlash, despite the vilification, he has come back time and time again to speak for the British people. That takes a certain and exceptional kind of courage, which I have faith in.
So we'll come to that in a second. But you joined the party age 15.
Yeah.
31 years later or so, maybe. I mean, you're leaving it. That's a big moment. I mean, and you talked there, didn't you? And rightly, I think, about the members in Fareham and the local activists. That is always the hardest. The hardest link to break, I think.
Yes, I think it was, actually. And that was the main reason why I did stay so long, actually. Because I'd lost faith with the National Party earlier. I mean, listen, I think it is sad. Ultimately, I mean no ill will to those who choose to stay within the Conservative Party. Everyone's really in politics ultimately for the same goal, which is to try and help the country, and they're doing that in different ways. But it's sad. This is the great party of Churchill and of Thatcher. It is dying. It's dying.
The feedback from them, I mean, anger, disappointment, have some come with you?
No. I've been very heartened by the response from local supporters. Some of them have joined Reform.
How many? How many came across?
I don't know the exact numbers, but a really encouraging number. I mean, there are hundreds of supporters locally for Reform anyway, very large, very professional setup. And those who have chosen to stay have largely said, we're really sad, we understand, and I just hope we can stay friends. So actually, there's not been this kind of... a vicious response.
No, but there was from the leadership, as we saw. Have they apologised? I think they withdrew the statement about
they withdrew
the wrong one about your awful slur on your mental health in the right light. That's withdrawn by them. Have they?
They haven't actually apologised to me directly.
No one said sorry.
The leader has said she's apologised, but no one has apologised.
No letter to you or email or text.
No, of course they won't do that. So
you say, of course they wouldn't. I'd expect it. I mean, in normal life, people who aren't politicians would expect an apology.
There's been no apology directly to me. Despite their saying there's been an apology. And that is what the Conservative Party is today.
Have you come across them in the House of Commons and said, what's that about then? Have you?
No, I'm not going to waste my time anymore.
This is politics. You're a different breed to most people, I've got to say, because I would expect an apology. And
it says more about them than it does about me.
No legal action against them, because it is a slur, by the way.
Well, it's false. It's false. And you know what actually upset me? This is all very petty in a way. It's not about the big political
No, it's not. But it's
issues,
a podcast. It's a podcast.
What did upset me about it was I can brush it off.
Yeah.
I'm used to the attacks. It actually upset my family.
Yeah.
And the first day it happened, I thought, oh, well, it's just the Conservative Party being the Conservative Party. I'm used to it. Obviously, everyone knows it's a stupid, false attack. The next day I spoke to my mum and my dad, actually my mother-in-law, and they were really upset. They came to me and they said, oh, God, Suella, we were in the cafe yesterday talking to our friends, and our friends have thought that you have had mental health issues. People have believed it. And so it upset my parents because it's not true. And it's...
I don't know why you put up with it. I don't know why you don't demand.
It is what it is.
I know. We'll move on. I don't want to go dwell on it, but
the party's irrelevant. And at the end of the day, very few people are listening to the Conservative Party.
So how is the new party you joined different to the Tories? And the thing with the Conservatives is it does have decades, centuries, over a century of just running stuff, being in power or not in power, waiting to be in power, in opposition. You're in a startup now, and I'm in a startup at GB News. I left the Telegraph after 150 years, so I know what a startup's like. It changes week to week, day to day, and then you look back over a few months and go, blimey, we've changed quite a lot since we first started out. Is it like that, a startup?
I think it's probably moved from startup to scale up, actually. So it's very impressive internally. They've got a very well kitted out headquarters. There is a lot of professionalism.
A lot of people.
There's a lot of people and talent being drawn towards the organisation at local and national level. There's a real sense of team. And actually, at the end of the day, direction. There's direction, there's conviction, and there's life and energy. And there's people who are really passionate ultimately about saving this country because they love this country. And you can feel that at the rallies. We were just at a rally on Monday in Birmingham with, I think, 3,000 people. And people from all walks of life, all age groups, all parts of the country, really giving up their Monday afternoon to come and be part of a movement which is on its way to...
And all parts of the political spectrum? Or are they mainly from the right?
There's a lot of disaffected Conservatives who've been on that same journey as myself. But there are also people from Labour heartlands. But what I find striking is the largest group of people I meet are those who have not had a political allegiance and indeed have not voted before.
Right.
I'm really struck by that. The number of people who tell me, Suella, I've never had confidence in the system. I've never bothered to vote, but I'm voting for Reform and Farage because they're the last chance for our country.
And we last heard that at the 2016 Brexit referendum, didn't we?
Yes.
And it was those people who swung it, the ones who didn't vote, weren't picked up by polling. They're the ones, I think, who won it for the Brexit vote then. And can Nigel Farage do it? A huge amount of pressure on you and your band of 8 or 7 other colleagues.
Yes. Well, what's happening is the force and the effect of reform is it's awakening. It's awakening the what's been dormant thus far, spirit of the British patriot.
Right.
And that's a very powerful force that if millions of people do tap into that and join reform and support reform, we can say that. It is. I feel finally that I have some hope by joining reform. That I felt very.
You're smiling a lot for viewers or listeners who aren't watching.
The state of the country. We are broken. Our economy is on its knees. I've lost count of the number of small businesses that are going under. Young people are not getting jobs. Our policing has. There's no confidence in our policing. People don't feel safe. People are leaving the country. For the first time in many, many years, I finally feel that there is some hope for our country, and that is because of reform.
I mean, is your party left or right? We're not quite on the issue of the benefit cap. I mean, you voted, didn't you, by mistake for the wrong way round to lift the benefits cap with Robert Jenrick. What happened there? It felt a bit distorted. I mean, other MPs loved piling discomfort on you for doing that, of course.
Look, you're being very gentlemanly about it. It was my mistake. Got into the wrong lobby and shouldn't have been there. It does actually happen. There are about 600 MPs milling around when that division, but you know what it's like.
The division on you, bell, though. I know.
Rings and everyone's hot-footing it to this lobby and trying to figure out where to go. I'm actually amazed I haven't made that mistake in 11 years of thousands or hundreds of votes.
Well, it's easier when there's a bigger party and you can.
Yes.
Well, just 8 of you, not sure where you're meant to be going.
It's a great lesson that as a smaller party, actually voting. You need to be a bit more vigilant.
And the system is freighted against small parties. Nigel Farage he gets so cross about it because they don't really know what's going on half the time. Usual channels don't work at that level. The two big parties, they sort of help each other out what to do next. They sort of do a dance on policy, don't they? Whereas the smaller parties are left to find their own way.
Yeah, there's the procedure within Parliament is very lends itself very well to the official opposition.
Correct. Yeah.
And they are given platforms and they are given more of an opportunity. That is harder for the smaller parties. But again, this is what it's exceptional about what Reform has achieved. They're the leading party in the country right now, despite the system being against them. That's remarkable.
There's a disconnect between the scale of support. I think it must be 250 polls they've led, I imagine, since March last year, compared to where they are in the House of Commons. And it does frustrate Farage. He's now back, and for all of you too, of course it is.
But again, I say, the modern media, the modern world, the way people get their politics today, it's no longer, unfortunately, watching PMQs or what's happening in the chamber. It is through GB News, People's Channel.
Thank you for saying that.
It is through podcasts, it's through the modern media, and I think again that's where the innovation. You really see that alive and well within the Reform Party because they're embracing that. They're not resisting.
And this is just back on the policy pitch, which Reform will make. I mean, where will you be on the left and right? Because I think, for example, we Nigel Farage, he supported nationalising Scunthorpe Steel Plant. He wants to lift the benefits cap, I think, for Indigenous workers, he says, or worse, that effect. He's got plans for the NHS, which isn't clear. Income tax, he looked at lifting the threshold to 20,000 from 12.5. That was dropped, I think. These are quite I would say, socialist policies too? I mean, are you happy with that?
I am actually. So I think there's actually a case for, if we are serious about reindustrialising our country and a renaissance of our industry, then I do think there is a need for
state involvement.
State involvement. And our industries, our heavy industries, have been abandoned and unable to compete against, a more powerful and ascendant East. And so I do think there is a very strong case for that, which I support. The benefit will be more jobs. The benefit will be more growth for our economy. And I do think that, radical thinking needs to be put in place, and I support that policy. I mean, I see it ultimately as a patriotic party in the national interest.
Yeah.
Yes, there are those elements which you might traditionally associate with the left, but ultimately this is about strong borders. It's about putting British citizens first. It's about standing up for our veterans. It's about putting the national interest first against the European Union. It's the only properly Eurosceptic party. Very important. Very anti-globalist. We need a party that's a government, a country that's going to say we don't recognise spurious judgments of the International Court of Justice. We need a party and a government that says we're going to pull out of the European Convention on Human Rights, not one that worships at its altar, like the Conservative Party has been, and I'm afraid the Labour Party.
The Tories, of course, are pulling out of ECHR, they say, if they win the election. They say. You don't believe they will?
No, I don't believe they will. There's more chance of me joining Zach Polansky's Green Party
You're kidding me.
than the Conservative Party pulling out of the ECHR.
They got the Wilson report, this big thick document saying how they're going to do it.
180 pages by a lawyer 3 years after the event. 3 years too late does not make a jot of difference.
Because you've been there, you bought the Kool-Aid. If I can say so, I remember during the Brexit talks, we spoke on the phone. You were very upset about things, weren't you then? I mean, I can go on to disclose years later.
No, I've been upset about.
You were really
betrayal.
upset about
Absolutely.
You called it betrayal when you were the Brexit minister. You saw it happen under Theresa May.
Yes.
You were one of the 28 Spartans who opposed all three iterations of her deal.
29 Spartans.
29.
I always include you as a Spartan.
Oh, well, you don't have to.
I will.
28 Spartans, officially. You opposed each one, didn't you? I mean, that was brave, but you stood up for what you wanted to do. And that's about sovereignty, isn't it? And you can carry that forward with the ECHR, which all.
Yes, exactly. It'll be very similar arguments that we saw on Brexit, again, with the best man for the job, Nigel Farage, to lead the charge, that we will see on ECHR withdrawal. But, Brexit, and I'm free to speak now, ultimately, now I'm outside of the confines of the Conservative Party, is that Brexit was a kind of right-wing facade for the Boris years. As I said, I thought that I've been a right-winger for many years. I joined under my mother's influence, the party of Mrs. Thatcher when I was very young, or just after her departure. A party of sovereignty, a party of low taxation, law and order, security. And we've never really had a Conservative Party that's really espoused those views since the great lady herself. It's always been ashamed of those views. It's always been trying to be moved to the centre, detoxify, sign up to the international movement, be a pro-Remain party that we saw really entrenched in the party even to today. And actually, Brexit, I thought the right had won. I thought the right had won with Boris and Brexit. But I was wrong, because it was a facade for a very statist social democratic agenda.
Yeah.
Record immigration, record taxation, record welfare spending, heavy state intervention during COVID. I supported it at the time because...
but they're all choices. All those four choices were made possible by Brexit, allowing you have a choice to allow more migrants to the door and not spend more money on supporting businesses. Those are all... You can't really blame Brexit. These are choices made by elected people who... It's not Brexit's fault they did what they did.
No, not Brexit's fault. No, not at all. What I'm saying is I thought the Conservative Party was the right-wing party of the country. And I believe that very much so when Boris became Prime Minister and Brexit was delivered. But what we saw in reality, despite that veneer of Brexit being delivered just about, was a very statist agenda in the way I've just set out, and actually an attenuation and a minimisation of the real Brexit benefits. We didn't roll back nearly enough of the EU rules that we should have done.
Operation Bleach.
Operation Bleach should have
Which
happened.
you led in Whitehall. That
But
was taking out the name European Union from all lots of legislation to stop the reversal.
Exactly. And there was such a timid, cautious attempt to extricate ourselves from the web of EU regulations and directives. And that's why we're still subject to a lot of EU law. Obviously on immigration, we should have been cutting migrants, but in fact, after Brexit, we let them increase. So in many ways, we delivered Brexit in name, but in substance, the Conservative Party failed to deliver a proper Brexit.
But did they fail? I mean, Priti Patel, I think in that chair, has said to me before that after the COVID pandemic, we needed more carers, more health workers. We had to bring them in from overseas. That led to the big
rubbish.
numbers.
No,
but that's what she says.
That is a lame attempt to defend the indefensible. Post-Brexit, we had the points-based system in place. We had the levers. As Home Secretary, I saw how easy it would have been to cut the numbers. I actually had a very willing and supportive team of civil servants on this subject, actually. And they were very eager to use their new powers.
Really?
And, I had
So
a
what
full
stopped them?
plan.
The Treasury stopped them, or the
Treasury and the Prime Minister and pretty much most of the Cabinet. So I was blocked by the Prime Minister, who wasn't interested in cutting migration until the very end.
Boris Johnson?
No.
Sunak, sorry.
Rishi Sunak.
Sorry.
Rishi Sunak didn't want to cut the numbers because he believed that would negatively affect our GDP.
The Treasury say that. That's their orthodoxy.
He was supported by Jeremy Hunt in the Treasury. He was supported by, the Bays, I'm afraid, Kemi Badenoch. He was supported by the Health Secretary. He was supported by the Agricultural Secretary. He was supported by all of the other departments. And I was the last man standing on this debate. And so I had no chance, of course, of delivering it. No minister, however talented they are, can act unilaterally.
When you're in charge of the policy area, you're blamed because the farmers need it, the health secretary needs it.
But that's an illusion. We have millions of Brits on out of work benefits. I don't believe that there is an obstacle to those people taking up some of these jobs. And if we rebalance our economy, we make it harder for people to claim welfare where they can, they are incentivized to work. Then we won't need such a high level of dependency on foreign
That'll
labour.
take time to happen. Do you think, you look at Nigel Farage, has he got it in him to be this tough, decision maker? Because in the past, he's been someone he's been on the sidelines criticising for all of his political life. He's never really been in charge in the way that you want to make him in charge. I mean, you look at it in the eye, do you think he's got what it takes to be Prime Minister?
Oh, absolutely. He's the only person I would trust to be Prime Minister.
Without any kind of record in it. I mean, he hasn't done it before, has he?
Well, I think
That's the risk.
Well, listen.
You've
What
run
has he
parties.
done? He was really instrumental in delivering the Brexit vote, and I think that also
Part of that vote. I mean, the other part was a Gove Cummings operation, wasn't it?
Well, he's the godfather of Brexit.
Yeah.
I mean,
His
we
idea.
wouldn't even have had Brexit if it wasn't for Nigel
Running
Farage.
things, making
Running
choices. That's the hard stuff in politics.
But you know what? I mean, look at reform. Reform's gone from 0 to 100. I would say, made an exponential improvement and increase in its activity and its operations and its outcomes in a very short space of time. That's not achieved by someone who's, not capable. And secondly, I actually think that where has this so-called experience got us? Keir Starmer loves to parade his experience as a former DPP, but he's proven to be probably the most incompetent leader of our country in my lifetime.
So having new eyes might be good.
I actually think having that radical reforming zeal, which has not been tainted by years of experience that everyone loves to talk about, is actually a virtue.
You're about to have had enough of experts, aren't you? Which is what
Had enough of experts.
Which Michael Gove
I've
said.
had enough of actually the experience, because
It hasn't
both
helped.
the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, it's actually caused more
I
damage.
mean, anyone listening to this will be spitting out their cornflakes hearing you say that, because they think that's where that way revolution lies.
Listen, it's experts who said we have to stay in the European Union. It's experts who said we have to keep migration high. It's experts who say we need to stay in the ECHR. It's experts who advocated for lockdown. And looking back, we locked down far too much and were far too, and we overspent, we overcompensated, we overreacted because we were listening to experts.
Supported by both main parties, don't forget.
Yeah, I was part of that as well. But with hindsight, I very much hope we don't make those same mistakes. I saw how the experts governed. It was ruled by experts. It was ruled by scientists. And the ministers were impotent in the face of technical expertise.
And just finally, while I've got you, what job do you want in his team? I think we're going to see some announcements next week on this.
I know this will sound baffling to you. I'm actually very happy to just do whatever is needed.
So you haven't got one?
No, it's Nigel Farage's decision. He's going to make decisions, and I will respect any decision he makes. I'm just very happy to be in the team and have a role.
Do you know what job you've got yet?
No.
You don't know?
No.
I've told them there was a meeting last week to hammer it all out.
You know more than me. You will have to ask Mr. Farage.
But you haven't got a job yet.
I do not. I do not have a job yet. No.
It helps us calibrate this. Looking at reform. It's a bit of a ravel's the wrong word, but it's a collection of people. I mean, there's a leader, deputy leader, chief whip. That's it. So it's hard to try and set them against the two main parties.
You'll have to ask Mr. Farage about his decision. That is a prerogative for the boss, and rightly so. And listen, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do, and I'm up for the challenge to help in any way and roll my sleeves up. Just happy to be part of the team.
No second thoughts?
No way. Actually,
way.
I should have done it earlier.
Really?
That's my only regret. Should have done
really?
It earlier. Yeah.
You seem happier than when we last met. Perhaps you're telling the truth. Truth sets you free, possibly.
I can speak freely, but as I say, it comes down to this. It comes down to the fact that for the first time in many years, I finally feel there is a way out of the crisis that Britain faces, and there is some hope.
Well, from me, Christopher Hope, thank you for joining us today on Chopper's Political Podcast. Thank you, Suella Braverman.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind the more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Thank you, Suella Braverman, for that interview. Now turning to our wonderful GB News political colleagues. Katherine Forster, our chief political correspondent, and Tom Harwood, our deputy political editor. Welcome both to the podcast. Great to have you on. Now, I've got a challenge.
2 weeks in a row?
Yes. Oh, yes. We love it. I've got a challenge for you both. This is a list of the 8 Reform UK MPs, and here are some jobs. Now, what I want you to do is spend the next 2 minutes scribbling names next to those jobs, but don't copy. Don't make sure you don't watch what Tom's doing.
Otherwise,
Katherine.
there'll be a Kemi Badenoch who stands up and says, "Miss their copy." Do you remember that?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yes. Looking. Yeah, she dobbed, didn't she? Those copies. Right, off you go. They are viewers. If you don't mind, Paul, just go and make a cup of tea or coffee. I'll be back in a second. And we're back. That was a very quick 2 minutes. So thank you both for filling in your piece of paper. Now, we have got a list here of the 8 Reform UK MPs and the 24 cabinet jobs. But of course, when you're in opposition, you do create other jobs which aren't necessarily exactly mirroring what's in the cabinet. But it's as any bit of fun and not too serious. But let's work out who's getting at what job when Nigel Farage stands up, probably on Tuesday, and sets out what these jobs are. Okay, leader of Reform UK. Are we agreed on that? Katherine.
The leader of Reform
Yes, but we have to ask the question. Who
would be Prime Minister?
Well, Nigel.
Thank you. Right, Nigel Farage. Tom.
I put Leanne. No, I'm joking. Of course, it's Nigel Farage.
Okay, thank you.
What
We're not clear, are we? Yeah. For 8 MPs, what are the jobs? Okay, Deputy Prime Minister. Katherine, ladies first.
I put Richard Tice.
Okay, Tom.
I put Robert Jenrick.
That's controversial. I put Richard Tice too. Why Jenrick?
There
why
is a
Tice?
battle between Robert Jenrick and Richard Tice in terms of who becomes Chancellor. The consolation prize will become the Deputy Prime Minister. Now, I think it's difficult to have your formal deputy leader not be not be your deputy prime minister.
Yes.
You see what I mean? But here's the thing: Jenrick lost his leverage the day that he defected.
Yes.
I don't think Jenrick will be the chancellor because he lost his leverage in those negotiations.
Yes.
I think ultimately Tice has been gunning for chancellor for the longest time. I've had some private conversations with Tice where he suggested he's been very involved with setting budgets for local councils.
Okay.
He's very on top of finances and wants everyone to know it. I think Tice is gunning for chancellor.
And he also went to that meeting with the Bank of England governor.
Yeah.
With Farage alone. Do you remember that meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, that was before these big names came across in the Tory party. Katherine, now you put Tice in there.
I did.
As I have.
Because
he currently is deputy leader, isn't he?
And let's face it, he has kept the show on the road all the time.
Financially?
Yes.
With energy?
He worked so hard for years and years, keeping reform, on the road when Nigel Farage...
But he's already deputy leader, so how would that excite him?
I feel it's still... Okay, it's an optional job, but it's still a great job. You're there in PMQs, you get to go on foreign trips. David Lammy, who's currently the deputy PM, having been demoted, still gets to go on foreign trips.
But it is a consolation prize.
Tom Harwood.
Because both with David Lammy now and Dominic Raab before him, in both of those instances, that was someone losing a great office of state, 4 of them, PM, Chancellor, Foreign Sec, Home Sec. Both of these cases, Raab and Lammy were demoted from Foreign Sec. They got the consolation DPM prize, which is not a real job.
And kind of weirdly, DPM Lammy is travelling a lot. And no one quite... I mean, hang on, there's a prisoners crisis, mate.
It's not a job that always exists. There have been lots of Prime Ministers who've chosen not to have a Deputy PM.
But
Katherine?
Why did you put Richard Tice for that as well?
Well, I've gone down as Foreign Secretary. So I think...
And Deputy PM.
Yes. So I think it's 2 jobs. I think so. I give him because I think I thought he might be a nice bauble to give him. I think it will. Being if you're the chief diplomat for the country, it's a great job, isn't it?
It's a great job. But has Richard Tice expressed any interest other than having a girlfriend who lives in Dubai? Does he actually express any interest in foreign affairs? His big things are energy and the economy. I think those are his 2 main focuses as an MP.
You could be right. Okay. Split decision there on DPM. I'm saying Foreign Secretary, and you're saying that hold that job on its own. You're not giving him a second role.
You
can change now.
I'm yet to decide who Foreign Secretary is because I looked down this list
and you weren't sure.
And frankly, wasn't convinced
by any of them. Hello, controversial Chancellor of the Exchequer. Now here's the big one. This is the contentious one. Katherine.
Well, I've said Robert Jenrick simply because I know that apparently no promises have been made.
That's nonsense, of course.
Etc. Who am I to doubt that? Look, I don't know, but clearly Robert Jenrick is a big beast. Maybe we'll find out on Tuesday. I could be wrong.
Jenrick's had a job in the Treasury before. He's had big jobs in cabinet before. He's a very, very smart, very, very capable politician. But the way in which he defected made him have 0 power in that negotiation. I just think realpolitik puts Tice closer to number 11 than it puts Jenrick.
I put Robert Jenrick because I think that if you're him, he's been justice. I think in the Tories, he wants. It's the biggest job that isn't Prime Minister. And was there a promise when he came across? I mean, we don't know. You said there was no promises.
Allegedly not.
We don't know that.
He says there are no promises, but they're all.
But why are you taking it? Why are you believing what they say, Tom Harwood? You're so naive.
Look, Chopper, I completely agree with you. There was a negotiation, but the moment that Kemi Badenoch announced the defection before it had actually been announced, then suddenly, what role? I mean, Jenrick's choice was either sit as an independent or a reform. He loses all of his negotiation power. He doesn't need to be offered a job.
Because you recall when that happened, when that statement came out, we were all on air at the same time broadly, and Nigel Farage goes, "I'm going to call him this afternoon." I mean, the talks happened after it emerged he was jumping.
Although there were some talks.
Yeah.
I was literally that day heading up to Edinburgh to interview Kemi Badenoch, and just as I put my phone to flight mode, I saw it drop. Kemi Badenoch has fired Robert Jenrick. And I had to switch him off for like an hour and a bit, and then I switched him back on, and it was.
I was in the loo.
Bedlam.
I was in the loo, and I thought someone had died because our producer said, "Where are you?" It just couldn't burn. You maybe on TV.
Like
you were going on TV shortly, weren't you?
I was, but it's one of those things from the play The House about the 1970s. You know, those MPs where the whips come and batter down the doors to the loos in Parliament, dragging MPs by the scruff of their neck to make sure they vote.
That's just GB News. That's just GB News. Normal day in GB News.
Can I just say also then that when I did the first interview with Kemi Badenoch up in Edinburgh that afternoon, and she said that line, "Robert Jenrick is not my problem now." She said it to me first, but then she wheeled it out multiple times because it was a great line.
Yeah, it was a great line. It was a great line.
Workshopped.
And I mean, how is he? A Tory MP today said to me that he's a bit stressed. Robert Jenrick. I mean, he's not here to defend himself. He would say, no, it's not stress. I'm just saying to you what someone said to me. I mean, there's a lot of stress coming for this party. It's all very fine being, leader, deputy leader, chief whip, Lee Anderson, and no one else has jobs. That's fine until they have jobs, because then you get all the kind of stuff with the nitty gritty, the grit in the oyster, don't we?
Well, I mean, we've all worked for startups, right? To a greater or lesser extent.
Can you name a startup you work for?
GB News.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think everyone at the company would be willing to say in those early days. Which at the very least Katherine and I were here for. Very rocky. But this is the thing, in nascent organisations that are expanding quickly, you get a lot of, it's much more choppy and changey. Yes. Whereas the Conservative Party is literally the oldest party in the history of the Western world. And that means that there are ways of doing things. It probably feels like a calmer ship, even though from the outside it doesn't look like a calm ship. It will be the inverse.
Well, for example, they can give honours out. I mean, the Tory party kind of give a few nighters dropped here and there, baubles, roles on committees. I mean, the official opposition has other ways of conferring support for
all these defectors, Kruger, Jenrick, Rosendale, Braverman, they've had to move offices in the House of Commons. They used to have very nice offices in the plum posh bits. Now they're back at the sort of 11 minutes away from the House of Commons chamber.
OK, so we've got the PM, or the leader is Farage, the deputy leader is Tice. I think Foreign Secretary, you're saying you're leaving that blank. Chancellor, Jenrick or Tice. Tom, Home Secretary?
Suella Braverman.
Okay.
Suella Braverman.
And we all agree on that. Suella Braverman. Do you think she wants to do the same job in opposition that she did actually for the government?
I think she wants a big job. She wants a great office of state, and there's no other one that fits her.
And she believes in
Tom
it.
said. Exactly what.
Ideally, okay, so we agree on that, and that means bring back Rwanda, I imagine, if she gets into power.
Or Rwanda plus, as someone once promised.
Yes, quite. That plus Balkans then. Foreign Secretary, okay, Katherine.
I haven't allocated it to anybody yet, but do you know,
unfilled. So that could be a business person. We're going. That's how
say, remember when I was somewhere down south doing a pool clip about potholes with Mark Harper when David Cameron got out of the car and everybody went,
that was a moment.
Cameron.
A moment.
Nigel Farage has said that he is not going to restrict himself to only giving jobs to
it could be a peer. Of all those jobs there, Foreign Secretary is one you could give to a peer, probably.
And I think David Cameron is the best Foreign Secretary this country has had I don't know, since the coalition. He kiboshed the Chagos deal. He actually had time to go and visit other countries because he didn't have to be in the House of Commons all the time. He didn't have a constituency to attend to. I think having our Foreign Secretary from the House of Lords is actually fantastic.
He had Andrew Mitchell, who was made, I think, first minister or something. He had a bumped up title,
ministerial portfolio,
because he answered questions in the House of Commons.
That being said, the technical name for the Foreign Office is not just the Foreign Office.
No,
it's the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office.
Yeah. So there's money to spend.
And I think reform will remove the D.
Yeah.
So it'll be back to being the FCO because no development funding to any.
It all goes. It gets acts all
but
D.
I think you could split off Commonwealth and make a beefed up junior ministerial Commonwealth position for Andrew Rossendale. His biggest interest, of course, is with the Commonwealth.
Do you know what? Yeah.
That's not bad. But I like your idea of a random person, like let's say Jim Ratcliffe.
But here's the thing, right?
Put a name out there.
But this works perfectly, right? You have a big name in the Lords who's the Foreign Secretary, and in the Commons,
Rossendale
does all the Commons business for them.
Like that.
Technically, is the Commonwealth guy.
Like that. Okay, good.
What did you have for Foreign Secretary?
I had Tice, you see, didn't I? I had Tice.
Yeah, you did.
But I like the idea of Rossendale as number 2.
Yeah.
To a well-known, that's quite a bauble to chuck a donor or a supporter for the party. I mean, somebody wants to give back.
I mean, David Cameron, when he became Foreign Secretary, made it his mission to go and visit countries that no Foreign Secretary had visited in the last 50 years. I mean, this for British exports, for connections. But it's really important for the country and like those relationships that when you have time to build them.
I should say that I'm not suggesting that you get jobs for giving money to this party, by the way. I just thought I'd say that. That's a donor.
It does tend to be,
I didn't mean to say that.
It's not just for reform, but it is remarkable, isn't it? How lots of donors to the Labour Party, to the Conservative Party, to lots of parties throughout history have magically ended up in the House of Lords.
Yes, but I'm getting a text here from our lawyer. There is no connection of those two things. Let's move on quickly. Housing Secretary, so that's local government. That's obviously because there'll be a lot more reform councils if the polls are right after May. That job matters more and more, doesn't it, in getting this right at a local level? Housing Secretary, have you filled that one in? You haven't, have you?
No, I have actually, but more by sort of who I had left.
Go on, who?
I've actually given that to Lee Anderson.
Tom?
I'm going to go with someone who's not an MP.
Yes.
Someone who has been involved in politics.
Yes.
Simon Dudley has just announced his defection to reform.
Good point.
I think he was the former head of Homes England.
Yeah.
He used to run Windsor Castle.
When did that happen?
Windsor Castle, Windsor Council.
Yeah.
He defected
was he a Tory?
At the start of this week. He was a Tory. He was involved in the sort of Conservative YIMBY initiative, which has now been renamed to Build for Britain.
YIMBY means yes in my backyard.
Exactly, a pro-house building campaign. He is a big name in that world who has just defected to reform. And a lot of reform people were sort of welcoming him in. Everyone from Nigel Farage to Robert Jenrick, with whom he was close, all the rest of it.
I think this happened on Monday. The reason I think that is because I spent Monday up in Birmingham for the reform rally after 2 hours. You might have been a bit busy because the government was.
I didn't know that because I was so busy trying to deal with a collapsing government or not.
Chaos.
Yeah,
but that's a really good spot.
He's a good guy and a smart guy. And I'm going to policy expertise from the outside. Exactly what reform said about it.
I'm crossing out Lee Anderson, which I wrote also. I'm going to write in Simon Dudley. I think that was almost nailed on because why would you defect now ahead of next Tuesday?
Exactly.
Right.
You put Lee Anderson for housing too.
Yeah.
How fun.
We're the same. We're the same. You and me are on the same level. Tom's a bit weird, isn't he?
I'm just off doing my own thing.
That's good. That's good. You're outside the box. We're in the box.
Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster.
Go on.
Danny Kruger.
Danny Kruger. Yeah. I've got Kruger.
I also have Danny Kruger.
Right, okay, we'll disagree on that one. That's fine.
We've
Easy.
gone back to consensus.
Thank you. Foreign Secretary, I forget who you put, Tom.
I put an outside person, but with the Commonwealth bit for Andrew Rossendale.
Which you did too. You both agree on a peer.
Unspecified, yes.
I like your idea. It's better than mine. So and then Rossendale to answer in the House, and he'll love that because he loves all the Chagos stuff. And we know who the Home Secretary is. Defence Secretary. It can be blank.
Yeah, defence. I haven't, and I think again. Why would reform go for one of their MPs when there are half a dozen sort of ex-lieutenant
military types? Yeah,
military types. They are going to have someone who has been senior in the military in that position.
I agree.
I put Rossendale down, but I think now he's now in Foreign Office. I agree with you on that. Justice Secretary,
unallocated.
Katherine.
We're on to not. Yeah, no, unallocated.
We're on to these ones where I think. I can't see a single MP that is currently there getting justice. It's an important role.
I've got an idea.
Oh, go on.
Sarah Pochin.
Former barrister.
Yes. Magistrate, I think.
Magistrate, sorry. That's a good point.
Yes, actually.
Now, I think she is finding her way as a politician. She says things and then regrets them, or has done on, about the issue of people of colour on adverts and so forth. But she needs a bit of help, I think. But she would do that job, wouldn't she? I think you want to build a confidence update. You give her a role.
Well,
you don't make
it women inequalities. So perhaps this is a bigger job than that.
Goodness gracious!
Oh my God!
She can do both.
I think
the woman inequality.
Well, no.
Give it to a man, Catherine.
I'm going to step back and allow Katherine to beat him over the head with your book.
No, but I actually hadn't seen that far. Where even is that?
It's always in the.
It's not on our list.
It's not on our list, but it's
even on
always
the
a
list.
job attending cabinet, and it's usually given with another job.
I think
Yeah,
we've got to the end now of the MPs who can be promoted or to any job at all.
I had given.
Lee Anderson.
Well, I'd given him housing, but I agree that Simon Dudley.
So I'm going to say Lee Anderson work and pensions,
That is a good choice.
because I think he does like to talk about the strivers, the shirkers, all that kind of agenda.
Alarm clock Britain.
Yes, and I think that'd be quite good for him. Maybe. I mean, there's no business secretary, no culture secretary.
But I mean, all of these things, business secretary, you really want someone from business. I mean,
Yes, of all the things, Farage's complaint is all the time, no experience of business.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, like, we know one thing for certain: the majority of these cabinet positions will not be going to MPs. They'll be going to people who have been sort of significant in industry, big outside voices that reform wants to bring into the tent. That's always been their stated aim.
Yeah. Quickly, others, no one cares, but a chief whip, vital to get things done.
Chief Whip, currently Lee Anderson, but I mean, it would be a bit of a demotion if he stayed there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but
you do need an MP.
and
actually,
can
frankly,
go to double up.
You do need a chief whip who knows what the policy is, because Robert Jenrick
Yeah.
got a little bit into a bit of trouble by walking into the wrong voting lobby last week.
With Suella Braverman.
Yeah.
And so it
Now-
never happened before.
But is that because the established parties have established whipping operations? Frankly, you can be absolutely half cut as an MP and be pushed through by your whip to go into the right lobby.
And there's more of you, so you follow
Right, in one of the big
Jack
parties.
and Jill through.
Maybe they need someone who's working on policy for reform.
Environment
Or
Secretary.
Be their chief whip.
Or was it
Environment,
confusion
Energy
with what policy
Secretary.
actually was?
I think so.
Anti-wind farms, energy, environment. I mean, that's where Tice has talked in the
Tice-
past on this area.
Tice has spoken in the past. I mean, the thing is, you could roll this one into Tice.
They might well combine. If he is in my world, he's foreign. What is Tice now? What's your?
In my world, he's Chancellor, but you put that as Jenrick.
The Tice has actually got a job. Is free now, so I make.
You could give him give him energy
But-
and environment and do it in one.
What's your Jenrick role there, Tom?
My Jenrick role. Where did I put him?
Did you give him a job?
I didn't give him a job. That's pretty bad.
Well, this is.
Gotten Robert Jenrick,
I am-
the new
I,
sheriff in
no, it's
town.
because-
You see, you were so confident of your
It's
Tice
because-
moment.
Do you know what? On next Chancellor, I wrote Tice/Jenrick because I wanted to give
Yes.
that sort of
Yeah, that's the
overview
tension.
of the
Come on,
tension.
well-
This is a tension within reform
You're
right
gonna
now.
make him Wales secretary. What are you gonna do?
No, he gets a better job than that. It's got to be significant. I'm going to give him business for now. I'm going to give him business.
That's a demotion.
Good job.
That's a demotion. You won't like
From
that.
what? Backbench reform MP?
Given where he's come from, he's the
He
most
can be leader
senior.
of the House. He can be.
I will hate that.
No, he would hate that. Do you know what?
He's resigning as you speak. I mean, he's
Yeah.
walking out of the Harwood cabinet. He's had enough of
No.
this.
But also, how many more defections before that supposedly hard deadline that
May the 7th.
come now or not at all? Do we really believe
Don't
that's
know.
going to hold?
Before we go, quickly, any other jobs of any other people in the world? Because given he wants to create like a Mooney wedding, loads of different individuals as peers. Who would you?
Have a look at the spokespeople he announced. Vanessa Frake, for example, his prison's czar. Right? Could she
Justice.
be a justice secretary? Look at the other people that were announced over the summer, where they had sort of weekly press conferences.
Yeah.
They had leads on crime. They had leads on prisons.
Yeah.
They had leads on all of these people. I think we might see their names bubble up once more. And it got overshadowed by Suella Braverman's defection. But of course, there were some significant veterans.
Yeah.
The veterans event that were announced leading some of those policies. Could there be a veteran?
Can I just say, if you're Whitehall, they want to see serious people in charge of big budgets. Now, health is the biggest budget. We haven't even discussed health yet. And the health policy of this party is not determined. I mean, and that is a real Achilles heel going into the election. Well, I've written the word Jenrick there because I think
big job, but also
and you take on streeting, possible future Labour leader.
A difficult job for reform. Because they haven't yet announced what their policy is.
So you've taken Jenrick from Chancellor
yes.
now and put him on
I've now, as chair of these proceedings...
Who are you going to put as Chancellor?
I'm going to go with Tice. I've come around to the Harwood doctrine. Here we are. So
it's all resting on my shoulders.
Here we are. So what we have so far, Nigel Farage as leader, we all agree on that. Deputy PM Richard Tice, and I think Chancellor too. You okay with this, Katherine?
I said you could. Didn't I say at the start of this podcast you could give DPM to Jenrick as a consolation prize?
With health.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Chancellor then is Tice. Housing Secretary Simon Dudley. Love that. Chancellor Duchy of Lancaster, Danny Krug, correct. Foreign Secretary, A.N. Other Peer, backed up by Andrew Rosendale in the House of Commons, like that. Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, we agree. Defence Secretary,
someone from Defence.
Some brass from the Lords. Sarah Poach in Justice.
Yes.
Health Secretary Jenrick combined with Deputy Leader, possibly, maybe. NG Secretary, I think that falls into Tice. Work and Pensions, Lee Anderson.
And there we have the beginning.
The formation of the next Reform UK government, or not. We'll wait and see. Katherine Forster, Tom Harwood, it's great to see you. Avengers have assembled. We will release you into the weekend.
See how many we get right next
Thanks for joining us. It's been great fun. Thank you. Thank you earlier to our colleague, what's her job, Suella Braverman, the new Reform UK Home Affairs spokesman, according to us. Suella Braverman, thank you for joining us earlier on Chopper's Political Podcast. I tweet on X as Christopher Hope. What's your Twitter handle, Katherine?
Forster_K.
Thank you, Tom.
At Tom HFH.
No one knows why it is, but we...
It's my middle name.
Oh, right, okay, good.
That remains between me and my...
Email me your thoughts on this lot, chopper@gbnews.uk. If you enjoyed this show, tell your friends. If you really love it, leave a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Helps other people to find it. Thanks to the team behind it at GB News headquarters, Mick Booker, Jeff Marsh, the podcast Worker Bees, Rebecca Nunes and Jordan McMillan, and and everybody else who helps make this show happen. But most importantly of all, thank you again for listening. If you want more Chopper in your life, or Tom, or Katherine, please catch us all the time on GB News in the week with our best reporting and presenting from Tom and stories elsewhere. We're doing our best to keep you abreast of what's going on in Westminster, and our best reporting on our website too, gbnews.com. But until next time, from us three, cheerio!